What if I told you that with just 30 minutes of planning, you could head into every week feeling calm, prepared, and in control? No more waking up on Monday mornings in an absolute panic or spending your precious family time on a Sunday trying to plan for the week ahead. Sounds too good to be true, right? But it's not. Trust me. My name is Laura Davis. I'm a time management strategist, and I help working moms ditch the hot mess and level up their work life balance using a proven time management framework that I created for working moms. Before we get into the episode, I would love if you'd head over to thelauraddavis.com/workweek and sign up for the free Master Your Workweek challenge. Over 100 women have gone through this challenge and created a peacefully productive work week by effectively managing their to-do list so everything gets done without the stress. All right, let's dig into today's episode. I remember a time when I used to spend my Sundays in a full-on frenzy. I would try to map out my week while juggling laundry, meal prepping, answering emails, spending time with the family, all of the things. And by the end of the night on Sunday, I was more stressed than when I had started, and the week ahead felt daunting instead of manageable. I was literally the definition of Sunday scaries. I wasn't sleeping. I would be up with racing thoughts all night long, which really set my week up for disaster, right? Because if you don't set yourself up for success from day one, it's really hard to come back from that. But once I started following this really simple 30-minute weekly planning method, everything changed. Okay. Now I can enjoy my weekend fully. I do not even think about planning because my plan for the week ahead is done on Fridays. Now, you can pause this and take a second if you need to, but I love planning on Fridays. I teach this inside of Time Management Academy because I fully believe that planning your week ahead on a Friday is what can set you apart from other people and other working moms when it comes to truly having it all and feeling balanced while doing it. And listen, I'm not saying that, my weeks are perfect, but I do get to start them feeling prepared. And that's truly a game changer for me because if I can just hit the ground running on Monday morning, I feel a lot better than trying to take a bunch of time early Monday morning planning things when I could just be getting things done and moving the needle. So today I'm going to share my exact 5-step process that I teach inside of Time Management Academy framework so that you can experience this shift too. So go ahead and grab your favorite notebook or open up your calendar or open up your notes app and let's get started. So before I give you that 5-step process, I want to talk about the benefits of weekly planning, okay? Because I think, a lot of people just want to wing it. They don't want to feel like they're tied down to their calendar. They really resist planning. There's a lot of talk in the working mom space about, oh, are you a type A working mom or a type B working mom? And I would argue that there is a type C working mom that is literally the best of both worlds, where you can be type A because you have a plan and you can be type B because you have flexibility in your plan. So one of the biggest reasons that I love planning, and especially love planning on Fridays, is that it reduces decision fatigue. So when you plan ahead, you can eliminate that midweek scramble to decide what needs to get done. Your decisions are already made and you leave more mental energy for what truly matters when the decision is made for you. So another way to say this that you may hear me say sometimes is that I like to default to my calendar. So a lot of times, like a really good example is in the morning when you're about to work out, it's early, you don't feel like working out. You're like, maybe I can just do something else. And you just sit there and you stare off into a blank wall. Well, I default to my calendar. If my calendar says that my workout starts at a certain time and I'm awake and I don't have a broken leg, then I'm going to just go hit play and I'm going to start my workout. If I am overwhelmed at work and there's a lot of stuff on my plate, I look at what I'm supposed to be working on at that time because I plan out all of my work throughout the week and I just do it. I just default to my calendar. Another reason that I love weekly planning is that it saves time during the week. So think of this as like a small investment up front with really big returns. So spending 30 minutes on a Friday afternoon saves you hours of indecision and reactivity throughout the week. And Brian Tracy has a quote. He says that every minute you spend in planning saves 10 minutes in execution. This gives you 1,000% return on energy. Now, I don't agree with a lot that Brian Tracy says. There are a few things, and this is one of them. I fully believe that planning gives you a 1,000% return on energy. And then the third reason is that it prepares you for the unexpected. So life happens. We're working moms. Kids are going to get sick. Meetings are going to run over. You're going to forget about the school project that's due tomorrow. But when you've planned your week out, it's easier to adapt without completely derailing your progress. All right, so let's get into this 5-step weekly planning framework. And again, I do this on Friday afternoons. Let me give you a couple of reasons why Friday afternoons. My favorite reason why Friday afternoons is because most of the time, I'm not saying for every job or career out there, but most of the time, Friday afternoons from 2 to 5 is like wasted space in my in my opinion in my corporate job. I get stuff done, but it's always like, let me check my email, or you're not getting like high brain energy work done at 2 p.m. on a Friday. Okay. So instead, I've decided to put my planning session on Friday afternoons somewhere between 2 and 3 p.m. This allows me to still do something really productive with a high ROI, but it doesn't require a ton of brain power, and that is planning. So step one in this 5-step weekly planning process is to review last week's wins and lessons. So you're going to start with a quick reflection. You're going to see what went well, what didn't go well. Maybe you nailed a big presentation, or maybe you managed to get dinner on the table every night with a home cooked meal. Celebrate those wins. I know cooking more is a huge goal of mine every single year. I'm determined this year. 2025 is going to be my year of more home cooked meals. And then ask yourself, what didn't go as planned? Maybe you underestimated how long a task would take, or maybe you overcommitted yourself on Thursday. Use these lessons to adjust things for the upcoming week. Step two is to brain dump your tasks and prioritize them using the Time Management Academy framework. So this is where I like to call this brain rattlers, where it's also called a brain dump if you want a more mainstream term. But the reason I call it brain rattlers is because I feel like sometimes my to-do list is all like rattling around up in my brain, and I need to just get everything out of my brain. I don't have time to think about what makes sense or what order they need to go in. I just need everything out of my brain before I forget. And so I call these brain rattlers. I like to I have a notebook. It, of course, is not in front of me at this exact moment. But I have a notebook and a pen, and I do my brain rattler list on a pretty regular basis, because sometimes you just accumulate thoughts in your head and you need to get them out. You can also do this with Google Tasks. If you're a Google Calendar user, you can also do this with, the Notes app in your phone. Or sometimes I even text it to Zach and I'm like, ignore this text, but I need to get this out of my head and I don't have my notebook around. So just grab a sheet of paper or your app and list all of the brain rattlers that are rattling around in your head. And this can be, again, anything from work tasks to personal errands to appointments, or even just a random thought that you need to reorder the dog food. Like whatever it may be, just get them all out. Again, they don't have to be in any specific order, but I will say that you may want to categorize them. Like maybe you divide your paper up by 4 and you have like personal, work, business, kids, or whatever those different categories of your life are, and maybe organize them by categories. So step 3 is that you are going to start assigning dates and times to each of those brain rattlers. And this can look like taking your list and opening up your calendar, whatever whatever tool you're using to manage your time, add those brain rattlers to that tool, to that calendar. And you are significantly more likely to get something done if it has a assigned and dedicated date and time. Even if you need to move it, that's okay. It is okay if you move it. Nobody is like handcuffing you to this exact date and time that you assign it first. It is so much easier to drag and drop a calendar event than it is to try to keep all of these things rattling around in your brain. Step 4 is to build in buffer time for flexibility. So leave wiggle room in your schedule. I want you to think, if a meeting is going to take an hour, I'm actually going to block 75 minutes. So it's an hour and 15 minutes instead. If you plan to run errands, give yourself a little bit of cushion time in case traffic is worse than you expected. A buffer time is your safety net. It allows you to handle the unexpected without feeling like your whole plan is ruined. Because here's the thing, if it takes you less time, you are pleasantly surprised by being ahead. But if you underestimate the amount of time you have and it takes you longer, you are going to be stressed and overwhelmed. Step 5, the final step, is to share your plan with your family or your team. Accountability is key, okay? So share your weekly plan with your spouse, your kids, your team at work, your team in your business. Not only does this help everyone stay on the same page, but it also encourages collaboration, and maybe, just maybe, someone can take on a task that you've been dreading. So I will tell you something amazing that happened one day. I left my task list out on the kitchen counter. And Zach walked by it, this saint of a man. He walked by it and he just happened to look at it because he was like, what is this paper on the counter? And he said to me, oh, I can take this and this off of this list. Do you want me to do those this weekend? I was like, all the gold stars for you, sir. Yes, thank you. I think sometimes, and Zach and I have had many conversations about this, I have a tendency to, I'm an only child, so I never really had to talk through those things with other people. So I have to be very intentional with talking through my to-do list with Zach, because he's like, I literally can't read your mind. He's like, yes, I can look around a room and see what needs to be cleaned up. But if you're wanting X, Y, and Z done in the house, I can't read your mind with that. And he's like, I'm not telling you to tell me what to do, but just sharing and communicating is really helpful. And so I highly recommend a regular ongoing logistics meeting with your spouse, with your parents or your in-laws, if they are caregivers for your kids, with your team at work, and even with if you have like VAs in your business, or if you have a full-blown team in your business, make sure that you're scheduling logistical meetings with them so that you guys are all on the same page. Don't just keep it all in here or keep it all in your calendar. All right, so a couple of, I'm gonna call these like challenges that I've heard from multiple women who I've talked to, or even some clients. And then I want to tell you how I would go about them. So one common challenge is that planning feels like another task. And the truth is, planning is a task and it is a time investment. And I will say that the first time you do this exercise, it very well likely could take you longer than 30 minutes. The more you do it and the more you practice it, the better you're going to get at it. And then the less time it's going to take you, and it's going to get easier. So instead of seeing planning as extra work or just one more thing to do, think of it as the strategy session that sets you up for success. And I'm going to go back to that quote by Brian Tracy just to like nail this even more. Every minute you spend in planning saves 10 minutes in execution. And this gives you a 1000% return on energy. That should be everything you need to convince you to spend 30 minutes on a Friday afternoon planning your upcoming week. So what if my week doesn't go as planned? Like, what if I spend that time planning and then the week just goes to hell? That's okay. Plans are meant to be flexible, which you've heard as a common theme throughout this entire episode. If something comes up, pivot and adjust. The goal is not perfection. The goal is truly to have progress and intention and peaceful productivity. So it's okay if things don't go 100% according to plan. Now, I will say that in Time Management Academy, I give all of my clients a very detailed checklist for their Friday planning session. The 5 steps that you heard today are a great place for you to start, but I would say that the detailed checklist inside of Time Management Academy is really the secret sauce and truly a game changer. So if you are in Time Management Academy right now, you are going to get that detailed checklist for Friday planning sessions. If you are not in Time Management Academy yet, you should be in the next cohort, which you'll be hearing more about that very soon. So imagine heading into every single week feeling confident, calm, and in control of your time and your calendar. No more Sunday night stress, no more midweek chaos. You know, sometimes by like Wednesday or Thursday, we just kind of throw our hands up and give up. This 30-minute planning process is just, again, one of the many strategies that you learn inside of Time Management Academy and inside of the framework. Now, if you want a sneak peek or a little taste test of the TMA framework, I would say your best first step is to sign up for the free Master Your Workweek challenge. In this free challenge, I'm going to show you how to reclaim your time, prioritize what truly matters for you, and set the foundation for a productive and aligned week. You can sign up for this free challenge at thelauraddavis.com/workweek. And I hope that this is the year you stop living for the weekend and you start loving every single day of the week. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you in the next one.